This is overlooking the town. This nice little hill here. If you look, these head frames are everywhere. They litter the entire town of Bisbee. Wow, just look at this thing. Apparently they're all owned by the mining company. Wow, it's incredible. So this is called the abandoned gas station. And it's really interesting. There's these old vintage cars out in front of it. The license plate says they're historic cars. But the door is open. So, you know, we can go check out the inside. This place is pretty poppin', I'm not gonna lie. They got music going, all kinds of tourists and stuff out here. Take a look inside. Oh, this is certainly an abandoned gas station. It's a little breezy up here. That's okay. This beauty right here is the Galena mine. One of the many mines that dot the landscape. So they welded it shut. Right here, I believe, is where the elevator was to lower you into the shaft. If you look right here, we looked through this little hole earlier, and it's a shaft that just goes straight down. You got this big old equipment here, and there might be people living up here, or at least there were, because down here there's like blankets and stuff. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's like blankets and water down there. Someone might have been here, living here a while ago. How long have you lived in Bisbee?
A little over 25 years.
Okay. What's it like to live here?
I love it. What I like about Bisbee the most is we're a small town, but we have such an eclectic population. And you have all kinds of people here, and you befriend all kinds of people from, you know, university professors that retired to C Sharp, who used to do backup for Bob Dylan, and he hangs out in the park. You know, their kids grew up together, and you have all of that here. You have all these wonderful, great people. We also, what I like is, I really like history, and I love to play with history, and Bisbee is a wonderful playground for history. One of the things when you come into Bisbee, the first thing you see is what we looked like over 100 years ago. And when the mine shut down in the mid-70s, we kept the kind of this wonderful architectural historic landscape, but then we had the creative energy of a bunch of the artists coming in. And I think that gives us our kind of personality, uniqueness. And then there's all different sides of Bisbee, depending on where you are. We have several sort of suburb type sections. We're a more commercial type section. And it's just, it's great. And things are, you can do things here. I mean, you can't go bowling, you can't go to the movie theater. We don't have Walmarts, thankfully.
Everything here is very local.
Pretty much, yeah.
What can you tell me about the history of Bisbee?
Well, actually, the history kind of started with this building. In 1877, they discovered metal here. And James Douglas and his crew of people came down, and they were looking for copper. And one of the cool things about our history is you have sort of these families coming in, the Phelps, Dodges, and Douglases. But Judge DeWitt Bisbee was one of the last investors before they finally hit the copper veins. And so we got to be named Bisbee and not Phelps or Dodge or Douglas. I think that's cool. This building here, the museum building, is the original headquarters for the Copper Queen Consolidated Mining Company. And in, I think it's 1917, they were kind of converted into Phelps Dodge Corporation, which was, I think, one of the largest copper mining companies in the world at that time. And about a decade ago, they were bought out by Freeport-McMoRan, which is probably the world's largest copper mining company. Mining ceased in Bisbee in 1975. As with any single industry town, we sort of emptied out. But at that time, you had several groups of people that really made us who we are today. You had a group of people that lived in Bisbee and worked in Bisbee, were kind of old enough to stay in Bisbee, to retire in Bisbee. And they saw really the historic preservation element and cultural heritage tourism. Cultural heritage tourism has been bandied about, it's been given new names, but in essence it's people that want to come and learn about places and what makes them tick. They saw that and they really worked hard to preserve this town. They're the ones that are responsible in the late 70s for creating us as a National Historic Site on the National Register of Historic Places.
In 1877, a group of U.S. Army cavalrymen would be sent to the Mule Mountains in order to try to track down a group of Apaches. While there, a tracker named Jack Dunn would discover precious metals. This would lead to the formation of the town. By the early 20th century, Bisbee would have a swelling population, enough to compete with major cities like St. Louis and San Francisco. In 1917, disaster would strike the town. Many mine workers were threatening to strike for better conditions. The Phelps Dodge Company organized a posse of 2,000 and illegally arrested 1,300 of the striking workers and deported them. Bisbee, of course, would recover from this. In the same year, open pit copper mining would be introduced. Today, the city is very different than what it used to be. During the day, the city is a historic tourist town. But when nighttime falls, the city transforms. Performers begin to crowd the streets, and people fill the historic saloons for a good time. After exploring the town, our next stop was the Queen Mine, where we were given an exclusive private tour.
My name is Doug Graham. I'm manager of the Queen Mine Tours. I've been here 13 years and I worked 12 years underground. Prior to that, as an underground miner.
Okay, so you have a lot of experience in the mines, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. And then that's the train that's coming right now?
Yeah. Get out of the way. It's a little wetter than it normally is.
We've been in plenty of abandoned mines and stuff, so we're used to it.
We've had some pretty heavy rains this year. Normally it's powder dry.
Ooh, that old mining equipment right there?
No, that's fake.
Oh.
It's usually for display. We got plenty of old mining equipment though. Yeah. Now the region of the mine that we're in is one of the older parts. Okay, the oldest part we're going to get into is late 1880s, early 1890s, and it's a small stope. This main tunnel here was driven in 1915. Okay, as a main haulage. They came up into this region and they remined it. And it ran up until the middle 40s. And then they started using this tunnel for training. If you notice that there's black all over the walls, it's from them setting fires in here. Because Bisbee gets pyrite fires. Spontaneous combustion of pyrite. And they're very difficult to deal with and very dangerous. We don't fight the fires in Bisbee. What we'll do is we'll just kind of bulk it off that part of the mine, get everybody out, and just let them burn. Okay, and then you continue to mine around them. The most you do with your fires in Bisbee is you may pump water above them Till that's soaked down, I kind of cool them off a little bit to keep them from spreading.
Okay.
Yeah. So most people think metal mines is burning, but you know, they do. Here in Bisbee, those old timers, they got trapped in a mindset that all the good stuff had to be deeper. And so they went thousands of feet below us. And it wasn't until the turn of the century the idea popped, hey guys, what's in this hill over here? We basically ignored the whole thing. And they found an ore body with 1 million tons at 13% copper ore. Just absolutely incredible.
Wow.
You know, and Bisbee is a copper mine, okay? We are Arizona's largest gold mine, though. And a very significant producer of silver, lead, zinc, and manganese. Over 100 million ounces of silver came out of that.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's what makes us important. The complexity of the ores.
Wow.
This, what I'm working on is actually the first shaft in Bisbee. This is a copper queen shaft. It was sunk in 1881 and goes down 200 feet below us. It's cut at a 45-degree incline. It also goes back to the surface. When they drove the tunnel that we're in, they clipped it for ventilation air movement. They ruined the shaft for hoisting or anything. But,
Wow.
by then, this one was pretty much abandoned by 1885, 1886, and replaced by the shaft that's in our parking lot. It's covered over, but it's a big shaft made for production.
Right.
If this shaft were open, we look down, you can see it's just kind of small, rinky-dink. Wasn't set up. Just pretty much exploration. To just get things started. I was hoping to have that done by now. But that's probably not.
So how deep does the part we're walking in go?
The tour goes 1,500 feet back. I maintain about 3,000 feet of ground. Drift, maybe actually about 3,500 feet. On this level, there's probably 20 miles of workings. Bisbee has 2,200 miles of workings.
Wow.
Spread across 43 levels, 10 levels above, 33 levels below. Counting only main levels, no subs. I'm not counting sub levels. One of the world's largest underground metal mines.
Right.
Okay? It's quite extensive. All our mines interconnect, and they did it on purpose.
Oh, wow.
Because when early on they were just struggling, and then they realized that Bisbee's going to be real. So each opening started getting special uses. One opening was just to pump air in the mine. One opening to exhaust air. One to bring in materials. One to take out the rock, and that kind of thing was going on. Just a service, man. He's made it huge.
Oh, I see a train coming all the way down there.
Oh yeah, they're still. That train's about 600 feet away. I'm signaling them now to go ahead and come on.
Oh, okay.
What's a stoke?
Stope is an ore body that has been mined or is in the process of being mined. We have thousands of them here in Bisbee.
There's quite the draft coming from here.
Yeah, 18,000 cubic feet per minute of air is moving through.
Oh, wow. Imagine that on a burger.
Oh wow. This is incredible. Oh my gosh.
They can get pretty big.
Ooh, is that a model up there?
Yeah. Mine are running a slope.
Zoom in on that. That's cool.
Most of these rooms in Bisbee are actually left packed tight to the ceiling. Because not only does it keep it from caving in, it's going to keep it from catching on fire.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Towards the end, they actually, in Bisbee, they pump these things full of sand and concrete. Fill them in that way.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Works real well. This is all square setted. So they timber this, even this room here had timber all the way up to the ceiling. We are on backfill here. We have two square sets that are below us, and that's two of these that are down.
Is this a little diagram of it?
Yeah, that's how they look.
Wow. So what's This little machine here, what is this thing for?
That's a drifter, this one's technically a plugger on a shell. It's a Thor plugger that's been mounted to a feed shell on it. This one's nicest for drilling blast holes primarily. Runs off compressed air, intake for water there. Water's used for removing the cuttings out of the hole and dust control. And this is an air connection to run the shell. I do like this smaller machine. I can show you a bigger one in the back part of the mine because of this feed on the shell. When you're in soft ground, if you don't have the control on the feed, your feed will move the drill forward too fast and you keep plugging your drill steel full of clay and stuff. And it makes it a lot of effort to drill holes. This way you just kind of slow it down and let the water keep things cleaned down. So it's a pretty good machine. This one's out of the 1940s on it, so it's not super old. The older machines, they have the hand cranks on them, which also gives you a lot of control on those things.
So then this thing just drills directly into the rock?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. You see the little columns and cave formations back in there?
Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
Sometimes while you're mining, you hit these incredible pockets of stuff. It's just really neat.
So this track that we're walking on right now, is this original or was this put in?
I replaced this rail 2007, 2008.
But there was a rail here originally?
Yes. When they drove it, yeah. It was actually a different gauge. It was a 20-inch. This is 18-inch gauge. Same poundage of rail. This is 25-pound rail. Yeah, this had, when they drove this tunnel that we're in, it was considered very modern at the time. It actually had trolley in it. Had a copper wire running overhead, bare copper wire with 250 DC, and these great big trolley locomotives. This is part of that modernization of the mine to bring it up to full-scale production. Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely don't want to touch that wire.
Oh, no. You talk to Benny outside. Benny got tangled in it once.
Oh no.
Yeah, it throws you because it's DC current
Yeah.
we're using rather than, but it hurts. It feels like you've been hit with a sledgehammer.
So these are fire doors?
Fire doors, put in 1917. Yeah, they're automated. They're controlled by on the surface. And so one flip of actually a compressed air valve, all the fire doors on the whole mine shut and they seal it off. You just don't want the air movement through the mine if there's a fire.
Right. You want to snuff it out.
Well, the gases. You want the gases moving through. Yeah. Because that's the problem.
So what would happen if somebody was stuck on the other side of the fire doors? Would there be any way for them to get out?
There are, but you've got to keep in mind, this is like being in a fire in a submarine. You do need to cut your losses. Okay, this is dead serious down here when you have fires. Now, when these doors shut, you can't open them. These would be very difficult. Something that's not present on these doors anymore are counterweights. You have a cable, pulley, and a large weight here. So these doors are actually very hard to open, and you'll have positive air pressure build up against them.
Oh, okay.
So it may take 3 or 4 people to open this door to sneak through. Yeah. A lot of the modern doors will have a little tiny hatch on it. Open that hatch, release the positive air pressure, and then you can go through. Easy. Yeah. The miners are warned because, you know, the mine's big. You could be hell and gone from here. They use stench. It smells like rotten eggs. And then you know it's time to put on your self-rescuer, which is like a little respirator, and make your way back to the surface. Yeah. When you drill with these, see, this one has a problem. This speed right here, it's pretty much one speed. You know, forward, reverse on it. That's it. This is your throttle for your machine. I personally like to start drilling my holes at the top. So you have to lift all this unit up, start at the top, work your way down. When you get about this high off the ground, you actually flip the drill upside down, drill your lifters and skimmers, swing it to the other side, take it to the top, and work your way down. The reason I prefer to start at the top, if you start down low and then you move up, all the cuttings, they fill in your lower holes full of garbage. And it makes it really nasty to clean out. This is the pattern for blasting. And that little drill that we looked at inside the stope, or any of these others that are right there, this is what you're going to be drilling out with one of them. And when you're done firing this, what it'll leave is a hole that's roughly 8 foot by 6 foot by 6 foot deep. And the wall itself will be fragmented into rocks about that size or smaller. And it weighs 25 to 30 ton is what you've broken.
Wow.
And you'll be able to slide one of those square sets inside the stove right in there, tight. We don't want to break too much outside that. You will a little bit, but you don't want to do a lot of it. You definitely want to have the explosives controlled. You know, make it do the work for you, but anybody can blow something up, going all over the place. Really.
I think, as you can see, we're kind of isolated from a lot of things. I'm a little shocked with the coronavirus as now as a pandemic and a national emergency that we still have this tourism element, plus it's spring break. I don't think we're immune to what's going on, but we have kind of our own little sense of identity, and sometimes that works in our favor, in fact most of the time, and sometimes it might not. But we are a community of free thinkers. We're a community that has a lot of opinions. A lot of people have a lot of opinions, and some people have even more than one, and like 50. But again, that's what makes us unique. Is an overused word, but it makes us Bisbee.
Bisbee, Arizona is a town that helped build America, more so than many others. Despite its small community, it attracts thousands of tourists every year. This quaint mountain town has had a major impact on the country, and now its story will never be forgotten.
Look at this man. What's this man's name?
Caleb?
Put your hands together for Caleb, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, dude.
Look at this.
See it?
Yeah, look at this thing. Oh yeah, short focus. There we go. Look at this thing. Look at this motherfucker right here. This giant dude.